Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kokona, Wisconsin, riding a CST tires, SSI decals, Valvoline backed Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV motocross national champion, number 25, Cody Jansen.
What's up, everybody?
We're back!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, episode 148 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, in stock and available for purchase today at shop.csttires.com. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, saying hello to our more than 268,000 monthly Digging Deep listeners in 109 countries in which you are listening, and this is our Quad Cross of Nations review show. We have a super cool episode in store for you tonight. Chad Wienen, who of course wasn't lining up this year to represent our great country due to injury, but he was there as part of Team USA, and what a cool perspective he has this time around. We'll hear all about the Euro trip from him, an update on 2025, and more news and notes from the last month or so in the episode ahead. Let's quickly shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew, thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namira Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing, our choice when it comes to case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the GOAT of electric razor trimmers, my favorite, the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped, or the best nose hair trimmer ever created, the Weed Whacker 2.0, get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support all the great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. It's that time of year. You and your machine both need a little TLC. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. Shout out to all of our donors, and if you are interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. Major thanks to all who have donated, of course. Now, if you can't donate, but you still want to help us out, you can leave us a rating or review on iTunes and Spotify, because that helps us out a bunch too. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up, it's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep.
Let's go!
All right, guys, I'm stoked to have this guy join me here tonight. The last time we sat down with this guy, he was yet to start riding, but a lot has changed since then. And he actually flew over to the Quad Cross of Nations in the Czech Republic, even though he wasn't lining up for the first time for Team USA here as long as we've been doing this thing. Brought to you by DID Racing Chain, their industry-leading ATV2 X-Ring chain. I am proud to welcome legendary 8-time ATV motocross national champion Chad Wienen back to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. Welcome back, Chad. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Cody, hello, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Chad. So we got plenty to talk about tonight, but I think we should probably start on a personal note first, because I want to hear about it. I know our listeners want to hear about it. You've been back in the saddle for what I think has been a couple months now at this point. So how good does that feel? I can't imagine how good that feels for you. And what kind of update can you give us?
Yeah, I got about 15 hours logged in the machine. So definitely getting my feeling back, getting very comfortable on the machine. Man, it felt great. Even the first day, like I didn't necessarily like overdo it or anything like that. Just kind of went through the paces and, knowing that, my head was going to say, let's go fast, but, my body wasn't going to be ready for it.
Right.
But man, yeah, it's been a great start back, and I'm just happy. I feel as normal as I can, and I don't have any like lingering effects from it,
Awesome.
from the accident. And man, just feel pretty lucky, to be back. And man, I feel strong in the machine. Just having a lot of fun. Kind of went back to like some old settings and it feels pretty comfortable on it.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I can't imagine how good it was to finally get back on that thing. It was a lot of months off there, right? It must have been 6 months, right? About.
Yeah. I was right at 6 months. I went a little bit longer just because I just didn't have to rush it or anything like that. I wanted to get like a good little base of riding in before winter came here in Illinois. So
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that and make sure I still had like everything, the want and everything upstairs to be like, yes, I want to keep competing at a high level.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, it does get a little complicated at that point because, with the age that you're at, you're not going to race for, another 10 years or anything.
Yep.
I wouldn't think. Right. So
No.
yeah, I mean, it could have went either way. It could have went, hey man, I miss this more than ever. Or like, hey, like maybe this is time. I'm sure those are thoughts you had at some point.
Oh, for sure. And, just with my family too, and the position that I'm at with my two kids and,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
with them going to school and my son starting kindergarten this year. So it starts to get pretty complicated at that point. And my family's been, right there behind me, and they kind of just left it up to me. Like I wanted to, include them with things, but they're in agreement that they want what's best for me and what I want to do. And
Yeah.
and realistically, I put more into perspective than just what I want to do. And if I got on the machine and I didn't feel comfortable and I didn't feel like I had complete control of the machine, I probably wouldn't have come back to racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So have we like made this thing official yet, Chad? Like, are we coming back for sure? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. I mean, it's, honestly, I've been pursuing sponsorships, and I still have like a 1 year left on my contract with Yamaha.
Okay.
Which and I've been pursuing the sponsorship process and everything, and within my camp, like everybody knows, but like maybe just outside looking in, probably just seeing me riding quite a bit. I haven't come out and be like, hey, yeah, I am going to be racing, but yes, I will be back. And the last 2 years have been not the greatest, but not the worst. I really made the most out of the situations that I had been in, and I plan to come back and have a strong year.
I love to hear it. It was one of those things. I was actually sitting here prepping for our call here and stuff, and I got a message or a comment from somebody on social media saying, "Hey, do we know what's going on with Chad yet?" So I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I see all these videos, like just like you kind of said, like I mean, I feel like I know what's happening here, but I'm like, oh, I better ask him if it's official. So I'd love to hear it. I would assume with the way that the last 2 years have went with the collarbone break, and then obviously a more serious injury this past season, it's going to make you appreciate everything in 2025 that much more, I would think.
Yeah.
Not that you probably needed to be pushed to that point, Chad, but I mean, I feel like lining up for every single gate drop and just being at the races with your fans and all those things. I mean, I've said so many times on so many of these shows, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I've said like, there's going to be a void when you're not lining up in the pro class anymore. And I think that we saw some of that void this year. We saw some great racing. Like it was super competitive. These young guys are getting faster and faster, but at the same time, there was definitely something missing without you out there. So I'm glad that, we're going to get that back in 2025. And I'm assuming you sitting back and watching the class get even more competitive and watching Joel go undefeated and all those things. I mean, I'm sure you got plenty of pent up, motivation and all those things as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different perspective than what I've ever really been in. And, sitting there watching, and when it was very difficult to go to the races, which, I knew it was going to be, especially when I'm still months out of being able to, really come back and see what I got still and what I have. But, honestly, I've taken, all those moments, and, it's going to make it all worthwhile when I line up on the gate again in 2025. And, yeah, just like you said, I'm gonna cherish those moments because I know it's definitely not gonna last forever. But for me, like I wanna come out and be competitive and race up front and just do what I've always done. And I've had a big injury back in 2011, come back the following year, and I want a huge streak of championships and podiums. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that I'm going to go ahead and do it this time again, but just there's something about that fire that comes from like moments like that when you kind of hit the bottom, and just the different motivation level that you have is it's pretty incredible actually. Just how it works. Yeah.
It's real. It draws something up deep inside you, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate every little thing. It makes you appreciate, I know how you are. You're a gym rat kind of guy. You always
Mhm.
were, right? When you kind of, morphed yourself into the Chad Wienen we know now. But yeah, it makes you appreciate every little thing, every run, every bike ride, every little thing. It makes you appreciate it. So you're hitting the nail on the head there. So Chad, you and I chatted right before you headed across the pond. We hopped on a call there for a minute, and you told me that it was going to be, for you going over there, it was maybe going to be more difficult than maybe even you thought ahead of time, because you had just started riding and then you hopped on a plane and go to Europe for the Quad Cross of Nations to help the team in every way that you can. So tell me, like, was that the emotion that you felt? Was it harder than you expected now that you were back in the saddle, or was it not necessary? I mean, I guess, how hard was it when you got over there and had to watch the guys represent Team USA? And this was the first time that you weren't one of the riders doing so.
Yeah, I mean, it, like definitely was like loading up on the plane and knowing that I was just going there to basically support the team and not necessarily be out there competing. But honestly, like once I got there, like I kind of settled into like what my main role was going to be, and that was just going to be like work with the riders, and we have like we're close enough as riders that we understand that we have that common goal when we go there. And with Brandon not being there ever, there's a lot of new things, and you can almost see that in like those photos that were taken of Brandon, like the kind of the shock that he was kind of going through, and just trying to talk him through moments and stuff like that. And a lot of help with the guys setting up their machines, because the track was definitely like, it was a different style of track that we're not really quite used to, but the guys adapted so well. And it's fun. It's a great time being over there with the boys, and I just really wanted to win. And like I felt a lot of emotion even though I wasn't out there on the track, like when they played our national anthem after the event. Like I got emotional during that. And man, just like, yes, it was definitely difficult on the aspect of not riding, but at that point in my riding, like I was not ready to be out there competing, so it wasn't like, oh, I should be out there type thing. But you know it'll make me appreciate the 5 times that I've been able to go, and how sweet it really is to be a part of that.
Well, and it's one of those things, like you're a team sports guy, like you grew up, playing team sports and stuff. Did you get some of that feeling? Like, did you scratch some of that itch, being that like, this is obviously the only team sport thing that we do in ATV racing? Did you get a little bit of that from that? Because like you're there building up those guys, especially Brandon, right? Brand new to this, having never done it. We know he's a guy that is very deep and he thinks about a lot of things, and that can be good or bad, right? So, so I'm sure that having an asset like you to him was invaluable. And I'm sure, when you're like I said, got a team sports background, you're able to impact the team in a positive way. Like, yeah, you should have been emotional. Like that is that's the next best thing to riding for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like there is some merit behind it, being a part of a team and being like, I mean, we're over there. I was over there for, 5 days with the guys, and like you become you're in that group, and you're together, a lot during the day. And then with each of the riders, like I had my hands on their machine at one point or another, like trying to, help them, whether it was like I was working closely with Bryce on like his shock adjustments, and then giving Brandon, like advice on his setup. Like he was fighting the machine a little bit.
Okay.
And I could tell like when he was riding, he wasn't as comfortable and loose as he usually rides. So I know a lot of that has to do with, being at that event and the first time, and, it was really freaking cold there.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of those guys, like they were running on adrenaline, of course, but I'm sure they weren't like properly warmed up.
Yeah, we've all been there, like riding in the early spring in Illinois or Wisconsin. Like you don't feel like yourself.
Yeah. You're super tight, and like, man, like it's a good feeling when you're a part of something like that. Even though I'm not there competing, like it's like you're helping the team achieve the final goal. And I am definitely a team player like that, where I don't have to be like in the spotlight to feel really well about myself,
Yeah, I was watching one of Gloop's videos, and there was a segment of it where it seemed like you and Joel were maybe talking about ride height or something. And I'm just like, man, like we've come so far, like it's a whole different world nowadays. And I know Bryce gave you some credit on the podium one time for, helping with his shock adjustments and the shock setup, just like you said there. And yeah, I think it is a really cool thing that Team USA, this ATV motocross Team USA thing, has become such a tight knit deal between all of you and all the riders and stuff. I think that that's a really cool thing, because without this, like that dynamic, and we've talked about this on shows and these post-race Quad Cross of Nations podcasts over the years, like it really has changed the dynamic between you guys at the front of the pro class. Like it has made it closer and tighter. And I just think that that's a cool thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like we're at each other's throats, right? Like it's like, that's a really cool thing to see the top level competitors. There's respect between all you guys. And like I said, I like that dynamic. I like the way that, the Quad Cross of Nations has morphed that in such a positive way.
Oh, certainly. I mean, don't get us wrong. Like throughout the season, like that's our living that we're fighting for. So there's definitely throughout the season, there's times where you're at each other's throats, but I think it's the big thing. It's the respect aspect, and just the way that we respect each other. And then, us going to that event, like with you saying that it brings us closer together. It certainly does, because, we can kind of, let our hair down a little bit, and we know that we're a team, and it takes all three riders putting up a score for everything to make it go the way we want it to. That's the bottom line of that team event.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. The official tire choice of Digging Deep, CST tires are the choice of ATV racing's elite on the track, in the woods, and every other terrain. CST tires swept the ATV racing world in 2022 as Joel Hetrick, Bryson Neal, and Bo Barron rode their Pulse MXR and Pulse HT tires to an ATV Pro Motocross title, GNCC XC1 Pro title, and 10th ATV Pro Works Racing title, respectively. Led by champion Joel Hetrick and podium contenders Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Nick Janusa, CST's Pulse MXR tire is the most trusted tire in ATV motocross today. Available in soft and standard compounds, the Pulse MXR offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. And did I mention they have a contingency program as well? Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. The best of the best choose CST. Do you? You know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, as the Yamaha YFZ450R is the official ATV of Digging Deep. In a move started by 8-time ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, who with his next championship will become the winningest champion in ATV motocross history, we are living in ATV racing's YFZ450R era. Alongside Wienen, 7-time GNCC XC1 Pro ATV National Champion Walker Fowler Welcomed a pair of new champions to the Yamaha Champions Club as the podium-proven Yamaha YFZ450R proved to be the winning choice for Joel Hetrick and Bryson Neal. This unprecedented success for the YFZ450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the clear fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has resulted in a complete Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Evident by the continuation of Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program, Yamaha riders will once again cash in on payout and prize opportunities in 2023, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com. Follow Yamaha Outdoors as well as the new Blue Crew official channel on social media, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. SSI Decals, your way. SSI Decals sets the standard with the best looking decals, graphics kits, and vinyl wraps in the industry. Established in 1947, SSI took shape as an offshoot of their parent company by doing a little work for local pro Chad Wienen. Nearly 2 decades later, and fueled by a passion for ATVs, the company has flourished into one of ATV Moto's most recognized brands. From ATV motocross, SSI has expanded into graphics and design work for top racers in GNCC, Works Racing, Pro Motocross and Supercross, off-road, and more, headlined by 8-time world champion top fuel drag racer Clay Milliken. Whether your project is big or small, SSI Decals will make your identity stick. Get started today at SSIDecals.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 for 10% off at checkout. Things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Namura Technologies. For over 20 years, Namura has pushed the limit of value and reliability in the ATV and side-by-side market. Covering more applications than anyone in the industry, Namura's full line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, and industry-leading top-end repair kits and more have led to higher overall engine performance for your machine. Visit your local dealer or online at www.namura.com and follow along on Instagram for giveaways and exciting new products in 2023. Namura Technologies, your one-stop shop engine component supplier. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals and cylinders, shock and suspension parts, winches, clutch kits, valves, carb kits, bearing kits, and drive chain parts, Bronco is your hard parts source for whatever you need for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world, visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com.
For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. As a proud member of Team Valvoline for nearly a decade, I have witnessed their unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of performance. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, solidifying their position as a powerhouse within the industry. Being a part of this historically great team has been an incredible privilege. When it comes to my equipment, whether it's my daily commuting vehicles, race quads, or anything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline. Their range of products and lubricants consistently deliver increased horsepower, durability, and engine life. I'm excited to announce Valvoline's breakthrough in performance, Valvoline Ultimate Power Sports. With up to 8 times stronger rust protection and 50% better wear protection, this cutting-edge formula ensures your ATV's engine runs smoother and longer for the ultimate ride. Tackle rugged terrains with confidence knowing your ATV's engine is equipped with the best protection available. Ready to experience the next level of performance? Head over to shop.valvolineglobal.com and use code DIGGINGDEEP10 at checkout to unlock an exclusive 10% off on your purchase. Don't miss out on this limited time offer to enhance your ATV's performance with Valvoline's Ultimate Power Sports engine oil. Yeah, I mean, it's totally different dynamic to where we're all working towards one goal instead of like any other of the 51 weekends out of the year, weeks out of the year. It would be like you trying to be 1% better than that other guy. So yeah, I love it. So the Lockett track, very legit, obviously legit MXGP host facility. Did the event actually seem bigger and better than previous years now that it was FIM sanctioned? Like that was something we were talking about going in, or did it not really seem any different than the Quad Cross of Nations that you guys have come to know?
Yeah, it definitely did. It had the feel of like a big time event where they had like really nice hospitality area where it was warm food throughout the day, drinks, everything. It was more like being like it was more of an entertainment thing of or more than just a race. Like
Okay.
I feel like you could bring like a potential sponsor there and be like, hey, like this is the place where you want to bring people like that to like to have like them let them understand of what like high level racing is all about, and like and then also like the track itself was really close to like several towns, which was like awesome because for us, like we stayed about 20 minutes away instead of being so far away. Usually is what we are, just trying to accommodate for the whole team. And then the track itself, like man, like the landscape of it was next level. And even like they had like everybody, like the show ran so well, and the people were it just never fails. Like whenever we go there, like the people are all time, and it's very like self-rewarding because of all the effort that we put in. And then we go there and we like you feel super appreciated, and even though they want to see their country do well, like they're there like cheering us on, and they know that we're the favorites, but they're just so dang pumped that we're there. And the feeling of that just like overrides anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, this is something that we've talked about over the years, but like for a lot of those guys, you coming over for that event is the only time that they get to see the stars of ATV motocross here in the States and on the world stage, the biggest stars in ATV racing. So that is something that's really special. I love it. It's something we talk about every year, is the embrace that, you guys get from the local fans. The track looked super cool, looked just like it does on the video games and just like it does, on the MXGP, watching the races or whatever. That's something that they talk about, you talking about the hospitality and stuff like that. That's something that I think is very synonymous with the FIM. That's something that they talk about with the MXGP races over there. It did look a little narrow though. Like, and I know that's something that I think is, a lot of those tracks over there are like that, but I don't know why, but watching the races or whatever, I'm like, man, like it's even narrower than I remembered it. And then I was trying to compare in my mind if it was more narrow than what you guys have raced on in years past there, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely did play like very narrow in spots. It also like a lot of the rain, like it rained every single day except the last day that we were there. So like it made the track feel very narrow, on top of it wasn't like a huge track, like a big wide Redbud or Sunset Ridge or anything like that, where this was more like a traditional like European motocross track that was just kind of laying part of the land. And like there were spots where it was wider, and then there are spots where it's incredibly narrow. So like the rain definitely didn't help it out, but like the conditions come Sunday, like it looked really good. A lot of the guys were, talking about how square edged and gnarly it was, where you had to be on your toes at all times because there was like gnarly kickers out there that could really catch you and call you out.
Yeah, watching some of Gloop's helmet cam footage, that's something that stood out to me. Like watching the races, it didn't do enough justice to how rough it really was until I saw some of that helmet cam footage. I'm like, man, like some of those ruts were nasty. And then obviously the wild card ruts of the trike things. Like that's a whole nother factor. But kind of speaking of rain, you had told me actually like ahead of time, we had talked about the fact that you didn't think very much testing was going to go on because of the rain that these guys had to deal with. You voiced to me that you thought it was going to be super important for those guys to get a little seat time in and shake the bikes down and all the things you like to do when you get over to Europe like that. But even though not much seemingly testing went down, if any, really seemed like the tech went super easy, seemed like that qualifying day went, super, super well for those guys, pretty much seemed dominant in each moto for those guys on qualifying day. So despite not having a ton of seat time in shakedown time, everything seemed to go smooth right from the jump there.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely did not get like the seat time that they wanted or the testing beforehand.
Mhm.
But I mean, definitely a credit to their teams and what they did beforehand to make sure that, you know, machines were good and ready to go. So that played a huge factor. And that's, I mean, you got to be on that anyways, you know, because last thing you want to be doing is reinventing the wheel, you know, over there on test day, trying to, you know, scratch yourself out of even more work that you have over there. Because for a mechanic over there, it is insane of the amount of work that these guys have to do. They're up at 6 a.m, heading to the track, and they don't get back until like 7, 8 o'clock at night, and get dinner, shower, and back in bed and get ready for the next day.
Do
That's
it
like,
again.
yeah, it's like 3 days straight of that stuff. So huge props to the mechanics and all the teams. And man, they nailed everything they needed to. And I mean, that just goes to show that they have the right people in the right places there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much credit for everybody involved. So much work goes into this thing. So like I said, all three riders dominated their respective qualifying races. I assume it was all good vibes going into the race day there on Sunday, the day for all the marbles, and things started just as smooth. It seemed like in that very first moto, Chad, right? You know, Joel and Brandon seemingly were 1-2, you know, pretty much from the jump in that first moto. The two were within 7 or 8 seconds at the end, and yeah, more than half a minute on the rest of the field, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive to see, you know, the level that, you know, the guys are at, and they made the track look like they were riding the smooth track and the other guys were riding on a wet track, you know, or something like that. You know, that was like the difference in pace, you know, like there were some guys that some riders, there's always 1 or 2 riders that kind of show you something that, like, there was a rider from Estonia that was riding really well.
Okay.
And like, even like Patrick Trini had a good last moto, but man, like there's always 1 or 2 riders that really step up from like one year to the next, and they can have a race for a little while with a couple of guys. But man, that first moto, those boys definitely dominated. And, you know, Joel coming out of the start, you know, 1-2 with Brandon I can't explain how difficult that is to do. And the guy just puts on the spot, and he'll make it happen. He makes it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's so funny to hear you say that, because I literally had in my notes, like there's one guy, it seemed like, you know, we've been fortunate as Americans to win this thing. You guys have done such a great job, you know, representing us, but there's always seems to be one Euro guy that stands out every year, you know, and I was going to ask you, you know, which guy. It seemed like maybe it was Patrick Trini this year, but we've seen it be a number of guys over the years. I know Kevin Saar had a good moto there, and a couple other guys as well that we kind of see in the mix each year. But yeah, it's funny that stood out to you in the same way. So in Moto 2, then that first moto obviously dominated by our guys. Moto 2, it was Bryce Ford with the early lead. Brandon Hogue had to play catch up in this one. I'm assuming he was the rider on the back row in that second moto. But by the halfway point, Hoagie got the 2-for-1 special there. He had risen all the way to the second place spot. So Team USA was 1 and 2 in that second moto. Bryce Ford was way out front with a 17-second lead there over Hogue, but really doesn't matter. Brandon would get the gap down to 10-ish seconds by the final lap. But like I said, it doesn't really matter, 1-2 either way for the Team USA riders. But we talked about Brandon a little bit. That would complete his day. He would go 2-2 on the day there, his first time on European soil doing this whole thing with Team USA. And I came away very impressed, Chad. I mean, obviously you would know better than I on how he, you know, reacted to each thing, how he took it blow by blow. But I was really impressed by the way that he stepped up to the plate and performed for our team. And I was watching, like I said, one of the helmet cam videos of him, and I'm just thinking, like, almost like I was trying to think what I would be feeling if I was him in that moment, you know, and just you'd have the weight of the country on your shoulders. And I'm sure you can speak from experience, but it's almost like you want to think about that, because you're not going to take any crazy risks, but at the same time, you probably can't dwell on it too much, because you got to just ride the way you know how to ride, and ride to your ability, the ability that got you chosen for this thing. So I don't know. It was something that I'm assuming you can never feel until you actually do it. But I was really impressed by the way you stepped up to the plate and put on a great showing for our team.
Definitely. And Brandon's ride this year was very Jeffrey Rastrelli-like, from Jeffrey going to Denmark. You could tell like Jeffrey was riding very tense with the weight of the country on his shoulders, where like Brandon did the same things, and he just stayed consistent, stayed in his lane, and hit all his marks and did everything that he needed to put up the score that he was dealt, honestly. So like, definitely Brandon has to be proud. Like the picture that's burned in my mind is like all those photos of the moment is when he got up on stage for the team presentation. This wasn't not like, you might've seen photos of this or not, but like you see Bryce Ford and you see, Joel like being like all ecstatic and excited, and you kind of see Brandon like wide-eyed and like just kind of like holy crap, like what, like this is very different than anything I've ever been in front of,
right?
And that is burned into my mind of like what Brandon went through that weekend, and hopefully he gets another shot at it, because he's going to ride a whole lot looser. He's going to know what to expect. But man, like he did everything he needed to like basically secure like a good spot for us, and leave it up to the rest of the two boys to go into that third moto and do their work.
It's one of those things where I'm sure it's hard to take it all in, when you're living it, because again, you probably feel so much pressure, but over time, we've all dealt with these things or experienced these things where over time it becomes a better memory, because you don't feel, all that weight anymore. And I'm assuming that that's how it works out for Brandon.
Like I can't express like what you're feeling over there, because, there's one thing, racing for yourself and, having, maybe a championship to lose or something like that. But it's a whole nother feeling when you don't want to let down your country and like your ATV motocross family and, just everybody watching. You don't want to be that guy to be like the oh no factor of like, you can't take that back,
Right.
So, and I can't express what you feel like there, but like, it does start to go away, and you do start to like feel like yourself. You're there to compete, and you're going to do the best you can and make good decisions.
Yeah. Like I said, it comes down to doing what got you there, but again, so much easier said than done. You put those red, white, and blue decals on the quad and the stars and stripes and the whole deal. And that weighs so much. So, it's incredible. Kudos to Brandon. I'm just so proud of him.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the US and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at Manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheel racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com, or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for 2-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Stillo, director of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series. We've been working hard over the years to bring you the very best in local ATV motocross racing. The D6 Ultimate Quad Series has race classes for all ages and skill levels. Maybe you're an experienced rider or you're just starting out, we have a class for you. We're excited to announce that we have 11 rounds of racing at tracks located in Pennsylvania, New York, and Maryland. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
So race 3 was the dramatic one, if you want to call it that, Chad. It was Joel Hetrick with the hole shot while Bryce Ford was buried a little bit in the pack in that 3rd race. But that wouldn't last long. Ford broke into the top 5, and as he did that, Joel Hetrick rolled to a stop and would be out of this race. With I think it ended up being a chain issue, I believe, right, Chad? What can you tell me about that?
Correct. I'm going to lay something on you. Okay. So there's only a few team members that actually know that. Most of the team knows this, but after the race, we got to the bottom of it. I was actually the guy who put Joel's chain on. So Jim wasn't confident in putting the rivet link on, and I'm very familiar with it. Yeah. And I put the rivet link on his chain. I was very, very qualified to do it. I've done, several of them. And when I saw his machine roll to a stop, I was like, okay, I wonder what it is. Please don't be the chain. And then after the race, I was talking with Mark, and he's like, yeah, you broke a chain. I'm like, oh my God. Are you kidding me? So a guy brought his chain to Joel back to the team, and Jim and I were looking at the chain. I'm like, okay, where to break at? Yeah. And the rivet link was still attached, and it broke about 10 links away from it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what a tense moment, dude. That's insane.
It was wild because I was there to, do anything that was asked of me. And it wasn't like that was asked of me. I volunteered for it. I was like, yeah, I got the confidence in myself to do this. Yep. And once I heard that, my heart dropped, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't come up. The rivet link do not come apart.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of those things, Chad, that it is, that rivet link is a scary thing until you're comfortable doing it and that they don't come apart, because to the naked eye, you look at it and it doesn't look any different. It doesn't look like you've done anything until, you see it, swell out a little bit or whatever, until until you've done it enough times, you're like, okay, thing hasn't come apart. I know I'm doing it right. But to the naked eye or to the, the inexperienced person doing it, that can be a scary thing. But I'm sure you've done hundreds of them. You're putting them on every weekend or whatever.
Yep. I've done plenty of them. So that was like the heart dropping moment for me. But honestly, like for that to happen at that point in time, like, yes, it was a huge bummer, but you look at the bright side, like it did not happen off the face of a jump. Like Joel went home healthy, it didn't affect us as a race. So like, and with Bryce, I was more nervous about Bryce being like, how he was going to react to it. Like how is he going to respond from this, because at that point, like we couldn't drop another score. So we needed Bryce to score 100%.
Yeah.
And Bryce, I don't believe he's in first just yet, but like, soon he made himself up to the top spot and, just rode a smart race and, rode it like he was a veteran, and that's the way that he had to do. And, out there on track, then you get really paranoid. You're starting to miss all the rut lines and you're doing a little bit of extra stuff just to miss those lines. And so it's like every single noise in the machine, you're paying attention to, every rock dinging off of it, you're worried about it. So, but honestly, they all did great. And, everybody went home safe.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I had the exact same thought. I was like, man, I hope that Bryce doesn't overthink this at all. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, because you're exactly right. He wasn't in the lead yet at that time. So I'm like, man, just get out in the lead, do your thing. Let's not stress any more than we need to at this point. So Patrick Chiarini was the leader. Then he inherited the lead when Joel came to a stop. And I don't know exactly how close it would have been between, like how the points would have been the next closest country at that time. But just like you said, you do get a throw out. So the sketchy part is now that you don't have a throwaway race in your back pocket, but Bryce tried to do his best to end any suspense as he took the lead away at the midway point and then checked out from there. So it was a heartbreaker for Joel, but on paper, perfect score yet again for Team USA. That'll be the story of the 2024 Quad Cross of Nations, 1-2-1-2-1 for Team USA. So yeah, glad that everybody went home safe. Glad that Bryce stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park to seal the deal for the team. So Chad, I'll ask you this. So Bryce wins by more than 20 seconds there. He clinches he's the rider on track to clinch the title for the team at that point. Now, Joel was in position to win the moto at that point. He was in the lead. He was checking out, chain breaks, kind of derails the moto there for him. But Bryce, he's brought his very best performances. Some of the best performances that we've seen from him as a racer have come at these Quad Cross of Nations races. He won the overall this weekend, as the only rider to go 2-1 at that event. And when Thomas did that years ago, he got to wear the number 1 the next year. So what are your thoughts on that, Chad? Because I was literally getting texts about this before that third moto was even over with. So how does this, like, I know that like the questions asked to me were how the rules work. Well, it doesn't matter what, like, there's not a rule to, well, this rider is going to wear number 1, 2, or 3. Like, that's not how it works. It's just divvied up. That's however the team, basically however the team wants to do it. Typically you want your experienced riders probably 1 and 3, right? That's how that works, because you're first on the track and essentially last on the track. Maybe the new guy, we saw it this year with Brandon being number 2. So it's like there's no rule to this, but I think, one could pound the table that, maybe Bryce deserves to wear the number 1 next year with the way that things played out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's not that is not going to happen. I mean, who's to say just yet, but there's a good chance that he could, but I mean, I think all down at the end of the day, it usually I think it's usually like by the time they pick the nations, they usually know who the guy is.
Yes.
So usually that's the guy, but I mean, the way that we did it, like even with Thomas, he steps up for that race, and Bryce is doing the same thing. Like he's carrying a large amount of the weight, and like I mean, he honestly could run the number 1. So that's not out of question at all. but a lot has to be done before he goes back there. So
Yeah, right. No, I know. Like, obviously got to get selected, got to stay healthy, got to do all those things. But I just thought it was something interesting to think about because again, it's cool. Like it's awesome to see those pictures of Thomas. Like that's a cool memory for him to wear the number one. He was Captain America there for a while. And like you said, he stepped up for those races, and Bryce is kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. And I think the vibe that we try to put off with the team is like, let's go over there and do our best as a team. And like, if a rider does perform a little bit better, like, it's not like we're not, praising that rider. We're more of like praising the team and try not to make it individual, because I think when you have a rider that's shooting out to win the overall, it might sacrifice the team in the end.
No, I think you're exactly right. Right. Like that's something that we saw with, you and Bryce, right? Like you guys could have battled to the death last year at the Quad Cross of Nations that you guys were in. I don't know if that would have been maybe Moto 2, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But you didn't. Like it was one of those things. It was like, you put a run on him, but you weren't going to risk it all to pass the guy because it doesn't make any sense. It's 1-2 either way, no matter how it finishes.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I get a lot of the business from like some of my friends and my closer friends and family. They're like, man, like, why don't you ride as hard as you can? And I'm like, well, because, I don't want to sacrifice, anything more than I need to, because that race itself is, it's not like it's dangerous, but there's more risk involved.
For sure.
Because there's more people on the track and you're riding with people that you don't really know that well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So that's the way that I approach it. Like if it's there, like, yeah, like go for it. But if it's adding extra risk to the team, then, stay in my lane and just do what I got to do.
It's hard enough, I'm sure, as a competitor like you guys are, Chad, that nobody needs to question what you got going on. I'm sure it's hard enough for you to have like good angel or whatever on one side, little devil on the other side, one saying, hey, go faster. I know you can go faster. And the other one's like, no, like don't listen to that one. You don't have to go faster right now. So I'm sure internally is like the biggest debate going on, and bigger than anybody else that's going to bring it up to you and question why you're going as fast as you're going.
Yeah.
So second three-peat to date for Team USA, right? So 17, 18, 19, now 22, 23, 24. We're still perfect on European soil for this thing, which is something that we can be super proud of. We've heard all the stories in the past about you and Thomas and Harv and putting this thing together from the very beginning. I know you guys are all so proud of this thing. It's been, eight-ish years now, I would think, since the start of this thing. So it's come a really long way. You guys have refined your crafts. You guys have got this thing all figured out. It seems like it runs so smoothly and all those things. But I thought there was some verbiage or I just got this feel that Harv might have said that he wasn't going to be the one to put this whole thing together anymore. Is that rumor correct, or am I not hearing that correctly?
It is. He's trying to find personnel to kind of step into this position. Okay. And, if Harv, like Harv's just not going to lay this thing on somebody's lap and be like, here you go, have fun. No. Like, I'll see you later. Like, I think Harv is a big part of this even happening. And I think he's going to make sure that he puts it in good hands before he steps away. And he's been approaching me a lot about doing it, but I'm like, Harv, like, I still want to be competing and not be in that position.
Not be the logistics guy.
Yeah, not be the logistics guy. And I don't even know if that's for me, honestly, but I feel like he'll still be around, but he's pushing to have somebody, step into that spot and push to be in that spot, which Harv is probably, he's been the first guy and he's been the best guy so far. And, the things that he does to make this get off the ground and go and is something that I don't know anybody right now that can jump right into that. So I feel like, Harv will be back. But good. He'll want to have somebody like be on his coattail to basically see everything through. And I just think if he can find somebody to help him to get that position, pushed on to the next person, because Harv's got, like for him stepping away from referee this year going into 2025, like he's expressed it a lot, like he's wearing a lot of different hats and he wants to wear his grandpa hat a little bit more. So you gotta applaud him for that, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. I had to assume. I mean, I know he does so much, right? Like he's got so much going on. Just like you said, he wears so many different hats. I know he puts so much and takes a lot of pride into what he's done for ATV racing and Team USA over the years. And like you said, he's definitely not going to just leave it for somebody else to do. At the same time, it's almost like he needs to groom somebody. It's almost like he would need to be a part of it still for a year, groom somebody to do it so that they know all the ins and outs of this, because I think that him and I'm sure you're part of this and Mark is part of this, but I mean, you guys and Harv maybe at the forefront of this thing, like knows all the ins and outs of every little thing and the rules, and, all the logistics and all of the stuff. Like it would be so much for somebody to pick up on. So yeah, it's almost
definitely.
He needs to groom somebody. So hopefully that's how this can play out. So needed to ask about that. Congrats to all involved. Obviously, like I've said a few times, so proud of our guys.
Success in the ATVMX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
Headlined by the 4130 Chromoly, Launderville Steel and Concrete Supply is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products. This racing family-owned full metal service center and concrete product supplier comes with over 30 years of experience serving the entire United States from their central Midwest location. As the number one choice for nationwide shipments and with available next-day delivery in select areas, LSE has you covered near or far. 4130 is not just the chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for an array of motorsports applications, but it is also the name of the newest addition to the Pro Paddock with riders Jaden JJ Launderville and Max Lindquist, introducing the new 4130 Motorsports team. Launderville Steel offers a large selection of material for any project, including their concrete division that can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. For a quote or more info, visit laundervillesteel.com today or give them a call at 715-675-6193. That's 715-675-6193. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. Until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. As the number one podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Jay Goebel and the Impact crew strive to exceed clients' expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to impactsolutionsatv.com or give them a call today. With the desire to keep you in the race, Ultimate Poly Products offers the Ultimate Protection Collection of case savers, chain sliders, intake manifolds, and more. Founded on quality in 1998, this family-owned and operated business produces products created by racers for racers. These industry-leading products are proudly made and manufactured in the USA, with their case savers being made of the highest quality American-made polyurethane on the market and designed to completely conform to your engine case to help prevent case damage from a thrown chain, because no one wants to be a spectator on race day. Join top pro riders like Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, John Glotta Jr., Adam McGill, Cole Richardson, and more by using UPP Racing products. Use discount code DiggingDeep15 at uppracing.com to save on your next order. Ultimate Poly Products, made to last longer so you can ride more. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. Chad, let's kind of finish with a couple fun topics here. The first being from the GNCC this past weekend at Ironman. How about, this whole Yamaha thing with Ryan Villapoto and Damon Bradshaw, the two legendary, motocross guys lining up on quads in Indiana? Like, Scott cued me in that was going to happen ahead of time or whatever, but like, where did that come from? I was blown away that happened.
I don't know Ryan or Damon that well, but outside looking in, I'm sure this all happened over a couple beers. And so I feel like that all came about with them BSing, and then all of a sudden maybe like either Nessel or Newbie were like, "Oh, you should ride a quad at a race and then ride the bike on Sunday and see how big of a man you really are." And then they probably Villapoto probably gets pretty puffed up and says, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." So if I could draw it up, that's what it would probably be.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how it played out, but I'd love to see it. I mean, what a cool thing, like it's just a cool thing. The attention for ATV racing in general. And then like, I got so much respect for a dude that's like, man, I'm not too proud to go ride a quad. Like I love that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the riders, give us a lot of beef about it, but man, like, I think you respect it a little bit more when you get on the machine and you're like, oh, it's really not that easy. I mean, along with, riding a dirt bike, it's really not that easy. So, a lot of respect to those guys. And, I talked with Damon Bradshaw last year, and he was a great guy to talk to.
Yeah. He's a cool guy.
But man, like, real straightforward guy. He just loves to ride. And, man, I'm sure it can go. I would love to like hear what they have to say about it, because
we're working on it.
Yeah, that'd be a great thing to hear, especially from and somebody they probably haven't really touched a race machine or anything like that before, and then be like, oh, go out and figure it out for an hour in the woods,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I thought it was just really cool. I knew that, like, it sounded like Damon was the guy who was, of all the kind of crossover guys, was the one that looked maybe the best, which doesn't surprise me. He's kind of a jack of all trades, right? He did the monster truck thing, so maybe that helps with I don't want to compare the two, but maybe that helps with the four wheels, and who knows about that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I needed to touch on that. And then the other one is that I'm hearing some really interesting developments, Chad, with this schedule for 2025. So sounds like we'll definitely have some new stuff going on. Maybe a little bit of a shift in maybe racing a little later in the year, possibly. And just sounds like some cool stops potentially on the calendar for 2025. So I don't know what you've heard about this, but change sometimes is cool, especially when it comes to schedules. And if we can, I would really like more races in the Midwest, but if we can't have that, going to some places that we maybe went, years ago, and with some different series, stuff like that would be really cool. It sounds like it's going to be a little different, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I just heard like some rumblings about some tracks, and the one that got me excited was the potential of going to Southwick, but I honestly don't know if that is going to be true or not.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one.
But there are a lot of really good tracks out there that, like, we haven't touched for a long time, and they could bring in a lot of, like, new aspect of people, and there's a crowd of people that can show up at those races because they're pretty strong in, like, motorsports, and they enjoy racing. So it can certainly happen, but I really don't know. Like, you probably heard more than me, I guess.
I heard Englishtown, and
Okay.
I mean, I that's a long way away from Wisconsin or Illinois, so that part isn't fun. But when we raced there in our WPSA 2007, I thought that was about one of the most fun tracks I ever rode. So, and I remember you and John Natale having a gnarly battle there.
Yeah, we had a pretty crazy battle there. I remember the track pretty well. It was like definitely on the narrow side, but man, it was a lot of fun to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of those where you're close to a town, you're close to a city. So you could definitely, and like, as far away as as it is, like there's a strong following of, riders up in the Northeast. And, I think that we need to show them some love and head up that way.
Well, I would hope that that's the thinking, right? Is to get near that any ATV series type of deal, all those riders up there. I think there's even 2 series up there, but kind of give them a chance to be a part of our series, go where the racers are. So should be exciting. Love a little bit of change, love some new tracks, especially some tracks like that we, a couple of us have some memories at years ago, the ones that are still left. But Chad, I've taken just about an hour of your time. I can let you finish that thought, but I've taken just about an hour of your time. I can't thank you enough for doing this. It's always so much fun. And I thought that it'd be really fun to hear your perspective on, this Quad Cross of Nations race. Obviously you would have rather been on the track than the sideline, but maybe once in a lifetime kind of experience for you to go over there and be, team guy instead of racer guy. And, hopefully, you're back in for 2025 here, kind of making it official on the show here. And I would hope and think that, that probably means you're going to be representing Team USA at least one more time. That's the hope. So, going back over there as a racer, right? And standing on that stage as a racer, like, even we've said it a few times, but it's probably going to make you appreciate that much more too. Oh,
certainly. It's the next best thing that I got to do this year is still be a part of it and go and be a part of the team. And next year it's going to be in Holland. So it's going to be a sandbox. So
sand track, there you go.
Bit gnarly sand track, so that's definitely up my alley. I really enjoy those. But full focus on 2025, and my preps are begun, and I'm gonna just enjoy the fall here in Illinois, and we're getting some rain, so that'll set us up for some nice track conditions during this week and weekend. So, Cody, thanks a lot for having me. It's been a great time, and hopefully a lot of the fans out there. I've been doing well, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all in 2025.
What's the off-season plan, Chad?
Ride as long as I can here, and we always spend Christmas up here in Illinois, and then make our way down to Florida and around Christmas and New Year, and just get to work, really. So
seems like you and Max have been doing a little riding yet this fall.
Yeah. Like, both of us know that, the fall months are so good in the Midwest, and he's definitely like, he wants to ride his way into, the off season, and he really hasn't taken much of a break. So dude's
racing all over the country.
Yeah. I applaud him for that, because it's very cool that he can do that, him being a bachelor and, kind of come and go. And I remember doing that stuff when I was younger. I would just kind of pick and choose where I wanted to go, and if I wanted to go race somewhere, I would go. And really cool that he's doing that. And I got a riding partner, throughout the fall here, and I've been able to ride with Bryce a couple of days. He's been up this way as well, and
I saw that. Yeah.
So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's both of those guys, man. Love those guys, but Max especially, like, he reminds me so much of you. Like, you can just tell, since, and I know it's been since he's been a little guy, he's been around you, but just in, like, obviously the way he rides, the way he stands in his, his corners, the way he rides a rough track, all those things remind me of you. Like, I'm sure it's pretty cool for you at this point to be where you're at, and have kind of groomed this guy to be, one of the fastest dudes in the country or in the world. Hopefully he gets his point talking about Quad Cross of Nations. I hope that he gets his opportunity at some point. I'm sure he will. Yep. I'm sure you're proud of him, I should say, but like, even in the cadence in which he talks, like, I can hear you in him. It's so funny. Like I look at him, I listen to him and the things that he says, and I'm just like, man, there's so much Chad in Max. Like it's just a really cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great kid. I've always enjoyed working with him, and hopefully he can, fill my shoes when I'm gone, and I want him to step into a really good program. I want him to succeed and be able to live the lifestyle that I've been able to live. And, what better kid to pass it on to? And, but, all in all, we've had a lot of fun riding and racing, and we're going to keep doing that. But I'm looking forward to the fall, having some football, watching. I mean, the Vikings are on a 2-game slide right now.
I was just going to say, things are going sideways.
Yeah, they're going a little sideways, but we're gonna straighten it out. And the Packers got a big one this weekend.
We got a big one this week.
So honestly, I'm just gonna sit back and just watch it all unfold.
So weird to see Aaron Jones in purple, Chad. So weird for me.
Yeah, I bet it's like Brett Favre, back in the day.
Yeah, I guess, but Aaron Jones is just one of those guys. He was like Packers through and through, but he's such a good dude. Like one of those dudes that you could never cheer against. So yeah, never cheered for the Vikings, Chad, but hard to cheer against him.
And they're the only ones left in the NFC North, and hopefully you will cheer for them.
I give him credit. Like, I can't believe that Sam Darnold has been balling out the way that he's been balling out, man. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's been surprising, to say the least. But I mean, you're getting into where people are starting to figure people out, and they need to, keep everybody guessing still.
Well, that division is going to cannibalize itself at some point. I mean, they barely haven't really played each other at all. And now all of a sudden they're going to all play each other for the whole rest of the season. So, should be fun. But yeah, Chad, we'll see how that's all going to play out. But again, man, I appreciate your time so much. You're a legend. Tell the family I said hi. Enjoy Halloween with the family, and we'll talk soon. Okay, pal? Yeah. Oh, wow. One more thing. I just came to my head, like cannibalizing about each other. I mean, the Bears are doing what Bears do. They do. My God. Yeah. Oh my God, Chad. My wife and I were talking about that. My dad calls me, says the same thing. I go to my in-laws' house. They say the exact same thing with this Hail Mary that the Commanders get. Oh my God. I've never seen a more Bears thing in all my life. You got this defensive back, he's motioning to the crowd or whatever. He's taunting them. And I'm like, man, that's the most Bears thing I've ever seen in all my life, and I love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. That made me smile, even though the Vikings got beat up, but it made me smile. I'm like, the defender, he's like, he's signaling to the crowd, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm still in the game. I got to play. And gosh, I've never seen anything like that, Chad. No. But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. But Chad, thanks for everything. Have a good night. And yes, sir. Enjoy Halloween. See ya. Bye. Awesome, man. Thanks. Man, so much cool stuff in this episode. How about that chain tidbit? Absolutely incredible. Major thanks to tonight's featured guest, Chad Wienen. You may get another episode covering the Quad Cross of Nations if any of our riders want to jump on an episode and get in on the fun. They all got invited for this one, but Joel and Carly were welcoming their little guy into the world. Congrats to the Hetrick family. Brandon was doing a riding school on this day, and we didn't hear back from Bryce for this one. So you may get more coverage yet, so stay tuned. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to my wife, Brooke. And thanks to AMA official Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors. And thanks to all of our partners. CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thanks to SSI Decals, Valvoline, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Lauderdale Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Impact Solutions, Ultimate Poly Products, UPP Racing. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP15 at uppracing.com, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. You can find it all on our website, and be sure to click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner for all your gear and parts needs and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. You can shop all of our Digging Deep merch, including our latest drop at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com. We got that new alien themed stuff for the undefeated season that we're super stoked about, so check that out today. All things Digging Deep ATV Fantasy related can be found at atvfantasy.com. I know I've been saying it on a number of these episodes, we're just in the final stages of finalizing our prize list, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about that on the next episode. If you're looking for another easy way to help support us, you can visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content coverage and more fun stuff as we are full on into the off season at this point. So much fun content and coverage coming up in the months ahead. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com. So check that out today. Be a friend, tell a friend. Please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Chad Wienen, Brooke Jansen, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen, thanks for listening to and making us the most listened to podcast in ATV racing, with more than 268,000 downloads last month in 109 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quadlers are freaking gnarly.